Hi, I'm Fletcher Camino.
And I'm Flynn Camino.
Welcome to Bombs Away.
Brace yourself.
Today we'll be reviewing a movie called RRR, or Rise Will Revolt, or RRR if you want to save yourself some time. It was directed by S.S. Rajamouli, and it was a hugely successful film internationally.
It's a Telugu piece of cinema from the Telugu region in India, and so it's in a foreign language, and it's very different from Western movies, and we watched it very recently on Netflix. It's the first time we've ever watched a piece of Telugu cinema, and so we'd love to talk to you about it, and here are just our main thoughts on S.S. Rajamouli's RRR.
In one word, S.S. Rajamouli's RRR is exhilarating. It's got over-the-top action, amazing visuals, and like really beautiful dramatic scenes, and great acting, and
fantastic plot, yeah.
Yeah, and great character development and beautiful world building. The movie's supposed to be a historical piece, but it's obviously
No.
S.S. Rajamouli describes the main characters as superhero-like, as that they're made mythical, and actually the characters draw a bit from ancient legends, Indian legends, and actually have comparisons to certain Indian gods.
They took some creative liberties. To give you a brief plot summary of the story, it's basically about these two revolutionaries from the time of the British colonialism of India, revolting against the British in their own ways. Now, in real life, these two people never met. They never did any of the things that they do in the movies.
As we know of,
Yeah, well, the Flynn thinks, it might possibly happen, but I don't think so. It's just, it's really a reflection of how the Indians love their movies. It's just how they love it over the top and just, not caring about the realism.
It's just telling a good story no matter what.
It's just telling a good story, and it's the colonialism India part is just the setting, and the story is just a setting where the story can take place.
Well, they actually portray the British rule very brutally and probably very realistically. I mean,
Unfortunately,
it's very black and white, but it's really it shows how the Indians thought of it, and it's very interesting to see that point of view, especially from a Western perspective. And all in all, the movie has very few negatives.
No. I think it's a brilliant movie. It's different from what you're used to. It's not everyone's cup of tea. We've showed it to several people recently, just saying, "Oh, what do you think of this?" And the reactions vary from, "Oh, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen," to, "What? What the hell is that?" That's just really strange. I don't get it. It's because it's made for a very different type of audience. Not a Western audience, for an Indian audience, and so it's that's why I said of it being a reflection of a different culture, because that's what it is. It's a very different type of movie than we're used to seeing, but it was fantastic.
I mean, for example, in the middle of very soon after a big action sequence, there's it turns into a buddy movie, and it has a song and dance sequence.
There's a big long song and dance piece, and that's an incredible song and dance.
Good, yeah.
The most incredible song and dance piece I've ever seen. I've watched the classic musicals, Singing in the Rain and everything, but this is just smashes them aside. This is absolutely the most incredible dancing I've ever seen. It's insane.
To be fair, the lyrics are a bit weird, but I mean
that's because it's just the subtitles.
Lost in translation, yeah. But it's all around a very, very flawless movie.
And it's a very powerful movie as well. It's a movie that you can empathize with. And I think I admire it for its themes, and it's universal themes. I mean, it's the themes you'd find in RRR are themes you'd find in a superhero movie, and in Western movies today. It's legends going back Well, yeah, it's become a bit clouded. Anyway,
Political.
look out for further videos on this subject.
Possibly the most notable thing about the movie is the action sequences.
Oh, wow, yeah.
For example, the third or fourth action sequence in the movie is a train accident, and it's so over the top.
It's insane. You have to watch it. There's a clip of it on YouTube. You'll see.
Yeah, but there's hand signals and jumping off bridges and explosions. You wouldn't see anything like it in Western cinema.
It's insane.
Not in the last 20 years, at least.
No.
People we know have compared it to like maybe The Matrix, but it's so hard pressed to
It is a
find
bit like The
something
Matrix,
like
but it's like The Matrix cranked up to 50. It's like
it's impossible to compare it to anything of Western cinema, really.
it starts. The action sequences start where Western action sequences say, "Okay, that's too far."
That's where they start.
Directors, yeah, that's where they start, and then they end at some place that you're just like, okay, that's just the most insane thing I've ever seen. And I think if you like it or dislike it, there's no way of doubting that it's probably the most incredible action sequence you've ever seen, just because it's so incredibly satisfying and cool and just unashamedly unrealistic. I think what's really interesting is that the two main characters are introduced through action sequences. So the first action sequence of the movie introduces the first character, then immediately it's on to the next action sequence to introduce the next character, and then another action sequence to have them all together, and then action sequences after that when they're a duo. And that's fantastic, just to use an action sequence to describe what's going on in the plot at that particular point.
The credits actually, main title credits actually happen 40-something minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, because they introduced each separate character. They introduced the premise, then one character, then the other, and then both the characters had an action sequence, and then the credits roll.
A very long extended prologue. It had multiple prologues.
There's 3, 4?
Yeah, lots and lots of prologues introducing all the characters, and then they thought, okay, now it's time for the title, and then the movie just gets better from there. It's just a non-stop thriller, but it's not just action. It's a thriller as well. It's this gripping, dramatic thriller. It's got scenes that really are emotionally raw and thrilling and gripping. You know, it's not just the action sequence. It's just what sticks in your head the most. But you know, the whole movie is brought together by the other bits in the middle.
I don't want to say, I may be talking about this too much, but the soundtrack is fantastic.
Soundtrack is incredible.
I mean, until RRR, I not dip my toe at all into any Indian cinema, and all soundtracks.
It's pretty incredible.
But it's the themes, the leitmotifs. There's an
it's
entire
operatic and dramatic and songs.
When they introduce the composer actually wrote the songs, and the actual leitmotifs are built in the action sequences. I mean, like when Ram is introduced, the character Ram, the leitmotif from Ram is built. So I just find it like a musical masterpiece, and as everything else.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out that it's not like this film is trying to be different from Western cinema in order to appeal to people. It's just naturally like that. That's what the film industry in India has evolved into. This is our first exposure to it. It's just different from everything we've ever seen, and so now we're going to be looking into S.S. Rajamouli's other works, which are supposed to be even better, which I don't understand how that can happen. But yeah, it's just a brilliant movie. I totally recommend watching it. Again, it's on Netflix, so just go and watch it right now. I recommend it to anyone, even if it's not your thing. It's just to watch it. I think it's important just to watch it and to understand what that type of filming is like.
Yes. The acting in this film is unquestionably very, very good from the Indian cast.
Yeah.
The Western cast is a bit disappointing, really.
They get sort of a European cast to play the colonialists, and they're not great.
Actually, Alison Doody is in there from Last Crusade, Indiana Jones and Last Crusade, and she's looking pretty different and maybe a bit plastic. But
nevertheless, I mean, I just think the two main leads are fantastic. I think they embody something that I think I'd almost forgotten that how old Hollywood actors acted. I mean, like you go back to the 80s, like Harrison Ford, actors like that. There's just this sort of energy that they had that the two main leads in RRR in India, across the world from Hollywood, are sort of that energy. I feel that again, that this sort of energy of 80s action heroes. It's just so great to sort of feel that again. It's just that sort of energy. It's hard to describe.
That's another thing that really makes RRR very good. It feels 80s. It feels like when I first watched that clip from the action sequence before I watched the movie, I instantly thought like Indiana Jones or like
Yes.
80s Arnold Schwarzenegger sort of action thing.
And it's around that sort of time as well, same sort of technology, and so it does sort of
Yeah.
feel a bit like Indiana Jones, but it's way beyond Indiana Jones, believe me.
But it's really it feels so much like what Hollywood should be doing, and like or at least in that direction. Like instead of churning out bland sequels, like my brother pointed out that none of the highest grossing films were original this year. They were all sequels.
None of the Western movies this year were in the top 10 highest grossing were original.
Yeah.
None of them.
In the highest grossing ones, yeah. And RRR is original, but that's not American, so it's
just I love where Hollywood is going in some respects. I love how it's going for a darker, sort of grittier feel with movies, and that's really emotionally gripping in a lot of ways. But again, you're losing some of that incredible 80s action, just sort of fun. You're losing yourself in these crazy action sequences and investing yourself in these characters who have great energy. It's not coming anymore. It's just like filmmakers are just going darker and darker, and they're forgetting what fun those original movies were.
But even the dark movies are getting formulaic, and only a certain percentage are still really vibrant and reminiscent of the old ways.
RRR is vibrant. It's full of life. It's full of energy, and from start to finish, it's a 3-hour long movie. By the way, we didn't mention this. It's a very long movie.
3 hours and 5 minutes.
It's an incredible achievement for 3 hours to keep your audience invested. That's an incredible achievement. I think not even some of my favorite movies, which go for a really long time, can actually do that. That the entire time I'm actually interested. RRR does that. It's just it keeps you invested for the entire time, and I think that's one of the most incredible things about it. That it's able to sustain your excitement and keep you interested in what's going to happen. That's what's so fantastic about it. It's brilliant. Now I can't think of many negatives for this film. I think it's actually just put together in such an incredibly brilliant way. But just because I'm a filmmaker, and maybe I'm just noticing this, and nobody else is really thinking about it, which is fine. But I just think that the cinematography style at some points just seemed a little overexposed. Like maybe it just seemed to me to not fit in an action movie. It was just a little bit whitewashed. It just lost a little bit of its grittiness.
To our filmmaking fans and viewers, by cinematography he specifically means how the film looks.
Yeah, how it looks. The sort of the.
I do agree. It is very sharp.
It is very sharp. It's shot in a very, very sharp type of digital camera, and it's just very bright and in your face at some points. But I just thought it could have been a bit darker and grittier to reflect the story. But that's just me.
Once again, S.S. Rajamouli's RRR is a great film. It's on Netflix. Just go and watch it if you have Netflix. Maybe even just get Netflix for that movie.
Worth it.
There's a lot of good things on Netflix, but that's probably one of the highlights, to be honest. So just watch it if you can.
Absolutely. And for more videos of us, this is the third video in a series of called 2022 Review, in which we're looking over movies from 2022, the best and the worst, as you might say, and we're doing new content all the time. So like, subscribe, and hit the bell button for notifications when a new video comes in, because there's going to be a lot of content. So stay tuned.
And remember, in the comments below, you can leave us a movie to review.
Absolutely.
If you have any ideas, we'll be happy to maybe even watch the movie if we haven't watched it. We're just starting out with this, so it'd be really great to see what you think.
Absolutely, that would be fantastic. So we're Fletcher and Flynn, and from Bombs Away, see you next time.
गूंज ढोल ऐसे देखो धन्ना के रोगी नाचे,
शोर सुन लो है धमाका जैसे शेर हाथी नाचे, देखो दिल का ये मेला यार अपने साथ नाचो,
एड़ियों के जोरों पे तुम धड़ाका देसी नाचो,
ओ पसीना माथे का चमके दमके ऐसे नाचो, हाँ जा छोरे हाँ जा गोरे, हाँ जा छोरे नाचो 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 वीर नाचो।